Good morning, students. Today we have to discuss the third chapter, that is your private, public, and global enterprises. Private sector consists of enterprises which are owned by individuals or groups of individuals known as entrepreneurs, or the enterprises which are managed, controlled, guided by a individual or individuals is known as private sector enterprises. Following are the features of the private sector enterprises. A private enterprise is owned by private individuals. It is managed by the owners themselves. It is established with a profit motive. It aims at maximizing wealth of the owner, and it is accountable to the owner for its performance. Now come to public sector enterprises. Public sector consists of those enterprises which are owned and managed by the government, or enterprises which are managed, controlled, and guided by the government is known as public sector enterprises. Following are the features of the public sector enterprises. The capital of public enterprises contributed by the government, central government, state government, or by both, or by the local government. If the company form of organization of a public company, it is not necessary that the entire capital is provided by the government. Part of the capital may be provided by the non-government entities also. The management of a public enterprises rests with the concerned government. The basic objective of public enterprises is to serve public interest. It is not established with profit motive. A public enterprise is accountable to the general public through the concerned government. Now we have to discuss the form of public sector enterprises. There are three forms of public enterprises, that is your departmental undertaking, statutory corporation, and government company. Today we have to discuss regarding the departmental undertaking, merits and demerits, and also features of the departmental undertaking. A departmental undertaking is the oldest form of the organization for organizing public enterprises. It is financed and managed in the same way as government departments. Such as undertaking is known as autonomous entity. Example of departmental undertaking is All India Radio, Department of Post, Railway are the example of departmental undertaking. It is totally controlled, guided, and managed by the central government, or under the ministry of the central government. Now we have to discuss the merits of the central government and demerits of the central government, merits and demerits of the departmental undertaking. If you will combine, already you have discussed, you will combine merits and demerits, that you will get the features of the departmental undertaking. Now we have to discuss one by one the merits of the departmental undertaking: easy formation, direct government control, public accountability, proper use of financial resources, secrecy of information, aid to government revenue. Formation of departmental undertaking is quite easy because it is set off by the administrative decision of the government. There is no need for a registration and completion of legal formalities. Direct control by government. There is a direct control by the government on the working of the departmental undertaking. Therefore, it is on the better position to work according to the prescription set by the government. Public accountability. Public accountability in a departmental undertaking is high because it works like a government department, and government is accountable to the parliament or state legislature. Then proper use of financial resources. Financial resources of departmental undertaking are allocated through budgeting process of the government. Therefore, these resources are allocated based on actual needs, and budgetary control is exercised to ensure that money is used for the same purpose for which it is allocated. Secrecy of information. there is a high secrecy of information related to the working of a departmental undertaking because it is not necessary to share the information with public. The merits makes departmental undertaking suitable for the activities having strategic importance too. Aid to government revenue. A departmental undertaking generates revenue for the government because any surplus of the undertaking is treated as budget revenue. Serving public interest. A departmental undertaking serves public interest by undertaking those activities which are in the interest of the public. For example, post office and telegraph, communication and other public utilities. Then come to the drawbacks of public sector enterprises, that is your inflexibility, red tapeism, lack of motivation, that is your financial dependence, inefficient management, insensitive to the need of people. Inflexibility. A departmental undertaking has no autonomy. It has to function according to the rules and regulations of the government, to comply with these rules and regulations strictly to ensured by government. As a result, personnel of the undertaking have very little scope for initiative and making change according to their changing conditions of the environment. Red tapeism. Red tapeism means the practice of excessive paperwork and tedious procedures before official action may be considered or completed. This is a fundamental features of the bureaucracy which the government adopt. As a result, there is a necessary delay in work performance. Thus, maybe business opportunity may be lost. Lack of motivation. Personnel of departmental undertaking have no motivation to put their maximum efforts in performing their job because of total control from above. Promotion are generally based on sincerity and on the basis of performance. Financial dependence. A departmental undertaking is highly dependent on the government financing because it is the only source of financing. Most of the government have deficit financing, leaving much lower scope for allotting funds of departmental undertakings. Inefficient management. For managing a business undertaking, professional competent managers are required, while departmental undertakings are managed by the civil servants. This results in efficient management because they are not enough competent in the field of the business. Insensitive to the needs of the people. Personnel of departmental undertaking tends to develop the feeling that they are responsible for adhering to rules and regulations. Needs of the people or whom the undertaking has been established became secondary. Thus, it may in many cases departmental undertaking fail to achieve their objective effectively. Now we have to discuss the suitability of departmental undertaking. When utmost secrecy is required, for example, defense production, atomic energy, etc., where absolute government control is required because of the strategic nature of activities, for example, communication, broadcasting, public utilities, etc., where common control necessary, for example, state trading is essential commodities, rationing, etc., where a departmental undertaking is to be used as a source of revenue, for example, Indian Railway. This is about your departmental undertaking and its merits and demerits. If you discuss the merits and demerits, we will find out the features of the departmental undertaking. Thank you. Have a nice day.